You're listening to a Rev FM production podcast. Welcome to Pastors Live, the show that discusses things of the Bible and current events for people who love to laugh. And now, the hosts who answer questions with more questions. It's Pastors Dave, Ty, Shane, and the other guy.
Hello, you wonderful listeners. We're so glad that you're joining us for another episode of Pastors Live. In the studio today, we have Pastor Dave Coleman, a wonderful man of God.
I have no idea who you
are. we also have Gary Austin, the voice of the Valley. He's here today. Yeah, sorry. I was just feeling.
Hi, Ty.
Hi, I'm Ty.
How you doing?
I'm you know what? I'm feeling smooth.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Years ago, I got fascinated by, this is before I got involved in radio, was some of the guys that did like the NPR overnight. But like the jazz guys, remember the jazz guys had they had this inflection, and it was always one of those things where the microphone, they talked lightly, and the microphone was so hot that if they pulled on a cigarette, you could hear the cigarette burning, right?
Yeah.
How many guys remember that? Do you guys, Dave? Did you ever listen to that radio stuff back in the day?
I did. And I'm trying to think. It was KLON radio in Long Beach. There was what was that guy? Guy had a silver tongue, man, I'll tell you. And his
yeah. I know who you're talking about. I just can't remember his name.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's kind of who I think about when I think about the jazz station. You know,
you're listening to KLON, and it was just like, man, it just was very soothing.
Coming up
I'll
next.
have to look it up.
Yeah, coming up next. It's one of those great things where, and I kind of miss. I miss having. Those live DJs, I kind of miss having that. Hey man, you just heard from Miles Davis. Coming up next, we're going to have a little bit of, and it's like, I kind of miss that. Hey, what was I just listening to? What am I listening to? What's going to be happening in this? I kind of miss that interaction in radio.
Yeah.
Because automation really has taken control of things. And,
big time.
And people are more, I guess people are more interested now in, hey, I just want to listen to the music or I want to just hear the news. But I do miss, though, kind of having a DJ that was a really good DJ. You kind of felt like you had somebody in the car with you.
Yes.
And that's what I really miss that. And even when the last time I was in L.A., before everything was on fire, I want to clarify that. It wasn't my fault. The last time I was in L.A., I was listening to local stations. And the stations that had people who were DJs were more like shock jocks. They weren't DJs.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going, the FCC is like, you're like right on the edge of crossing some lines with the FCC right now. I don't know if that's a good thing or, what you're trying to do there, but yeah, I kind of miss some of those, I miss some of those days.
Me too.
And by the way, we are into February now, by the way, which is, I wasn't ready for this. So, we're in February and it's still, there's still snow outside, but hey, we have anchored Hope in the Storm. It's our ladies' conference that's coming up on March 14th, which is a Friday, and Saturday, March 15th. And I am really excited for this. I get to help out a little bit with the music and some of the worship, but also I know we've got a bunch of our guys from our men's ministry that are stepping in to help serve the ladies, and because the ladies love to come and help with the men's conference as they love to come and help serve. And then we've got the men's conference coming up on April 26th, and guys, you can register for that today. You can register ladies for the ladies conference, and I'm kind of excited for the men's conference.
Yeah.
Got a call from Dan Davis the other day, Pastor Dan in the Boise area, and he's bringing a bunch of guys down.
Nice.
And he was like, "Hey,
I like hearing
that.
that.
Do you have a bunch of? Do you have copies made, or do you want us to just make copies?" I said, "I think what we sent you can go and make copies of that." And so they're going to make copies for them.
Cool.
And stuff. So they're excited to come down and be part of that. So I just wanted to say, hey, we're really praying. I know, Dave. What are you praying for this year?
I am praying for 850 men because that will just about fill the sanctuary. Pardon me. And so I'm praying for 850 guys to be here.
Okay.
We have some great speakers, right? We have Ed Taylor from Aurora, Colorado.
Uh-huh.
Boy, say that 5 times. From Calvary.
It's easier than than a Irish
wristwatch.
Yes.
Yes. Ed Taylor from Aurora. We have Rob Verdine and Luke Frechette. Both these guys are from Oregon, good buddies of mine. And it is going to be an amazing day. Pastor Day. I don't know why. Pastor Ty will wrap up the day.
Yes.
Or Pastor Day will wrap up the tie. I don't know.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
But you'll tie it up, wrap it up, give it up to Jesus.
So we're not going to have Elmo do it? No.
Definitely not. No, he's actually in the Bahamas with Simeon. Communion. So, but yes, so it's going to be a great day. We've got some great sponsors. I've been enjoying the commercials on Rev Radio, hearing the different sponsors that are involved, and just thinking, man, this is pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, it is a big deal. And by the way, today is an interesting day. It's Thank a Mail Carrier Day.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't seen a mail carrier in a while.
Well, it's because your mailbox isn't at your curb.
Well, no, I mean,
right?
But I have
around the corner.
They don't carry the mail anymore.
Oh yeah.
They still
they do.
I see mine every day.
Okay, they're walking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I was going to say in my neighborhood it's weird. Yeah, because it's got the mail boxes.
It's got that.
And they come in the truck.
Yeah.
Like because I used to my family when we had a mail carrier. My family there was like Christmas
first name
goodies,
basis,
first name basis, and
Yeah.
they were at your door, and if there was a package,
Ours changes a lot, and I don't like that. When I was a kid, we had Joe Savetko, and Joe Savetko was our mail carrier for decades.
Well, and you didn't get wrong mail because he knew, they don't live here. They got the address wrong.
Yeah.
And they just move it. They wouldn't send it back. You'd get your mail.
Yeah.
And every once in a while they might say, hey, this postage was short.
Yeah.
But
you owe us 23 cents.
But let me ask you guys a question though. This is a legitimate question.
Sure.
This is just me. When somebody sends you something and the postage is short, should you get billed for it because they sent it to you short, or should the bill go to the person who sent it to you because they got it wrong?
Do you want what they sent? That's the answer.
Right.
I really want that. So here's 23 cents.
I just always found it interesting. It's a thing. I've never understood that. I'm like, well, they sent it to me, but the worst part is a couple of them that I got. I was paying for corporations who sent me stuff. I'm like, why am I paying 10 cents for junk mail? Why am I doing that? I mean, if it's from a family member or something, okay, I get that. But when you just get a bill in your mailbox.
Gary and I will throw one together and give you 10 cents after this show, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, guys. I appreciate that. It's not that I'm bitter or anything, but I thought there's some forgiveness issues I got to deal with. There's no bitterness.
Wow.
I don't know, but
what'd you teach on over the weekend again?
Never forgiveness, love, joy. Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah, doing the right thing. Yeah. So
we have emails.
Yeah.
And
speaking of email,
and you guys know, I need to ask forgiveness. Samantha Boyce right here in Idaho Falls.
Hey, Samantha.
Hey, Samantha, God bless you, and I apologize in advance. She says, Dave isn't too far from understanding the pain of labor and childbirth as it relates to passing a kidney stone. She said she had to edit her email several times. She says, I haven't had to waste too much paper or use whiteout, so thank God for that. But she goes, I was originally a little upset with Dave's comment, but after listening to it several times, which now I really feel bad, she had to go back and listen to it several times. I'm thinking,
that's where the hurt, that's where the pain is.
Forgive me, Samantha. I am so sorry. I owe you a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or something. Anyhow, she says, to be fair, I've never had the experience of passing a kidney stone, but I've had the horrible, painful childbearing experiences. And as it turns out, the amount of pain in both situations is almost identical. I found out that a kidney stone, of course, ranges in size, and so that's how the pain varies. But sometimes, mostly men, don't even know that they've passed a kidney stone. But the biggest, and that's the biggest difference with childbearing. Women definitely know when they've had a child.
Thank you, Samantha. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. And I hope I never have to go through passing a kidney stone, but seriously, much love to all of you pastors, Samantha. Well, I will tell you, Samantha, and this, honest to goodness, I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I have heard this from several nurses who have had both a kidney stone and have given birth. I mean, multiple nurses have said to me, I would rather have 2 more children than 1 more kidney stone.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a thing. You know,
I mean, I've had several nurses tell me that. So if you're a nurse listening, I would love to hear your opinion on that.
Yeah, I think that would be
Pastors Live at therev.fm. Pastors Live at therev.fm. Yeah. So if you've had a kidney stone and you've given birth to children or a child, which one would you like to do again?
Yeah.
But
I actually never
wasn't
passed
meaning to be insensitive, so I do apologize, Samantha.
right? Well, those are always difficult things when we talk about pain level because everybody's different.
Right.
Redheads have a pain threshold that's different than other people. So we burn like we become like we get outside, we burn instantly. We're chasing skin cancer around, like taking care of ourselves there, right? So, but our pain tolerance is a little different. I didn't know that. Somebody mentioned that. And I said, well, that explains Berserkers a little bit more. Of course, that was if you guys are not familiar with Berserkers?
I don't think so.
There's a lot to it, but it's a Viking thing that I'm learning about. I'm trying to learn a little bit more about my heritage. But Dave,
I don't know why you do that, Ty. Look.
Yeah.
The Orrs come from County Down, Ireland. Period. That's it. That's all. I'm just telling you.
But
I can prove it to you.
But my last name, I'm a first generation Orr.
That's true. Okay,
because
you're right.
my family name is Horr, Horr.
Right.
And so we have to find out where the Horrs come from. Well, they come from a different part. We're more like Wales. But a lot of my family from Wales. But
gotcha.
It's really interesting when you get your genetic stuff back and you go, I am 100% Caucasian. 100% European, Northern European. But you begin to realize, because I grew up thinking, oh, you're Irish and Scottish, and then to find out, hey, you really are from the Baltics and from that area of, well, not the Baltics, but that
Have you seen there's a movie called Fisherman's Friends? Real tight harmonies. I think you would like it. I can't remember what the rating is. It's been years since I've seen it, but so I'm not suggesting it to everyone, but I think you would appreciate it just because the harmonies are so beautiful.
A
bunch of fishermen, they're out on their boat, and of course they sing the shanty songs and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I love a good sea shanty. Those are.
Well, you would like. I think you would like the movie. If nothing else, you'd enjoy the music.
Here,
but they're from Wales, and there's all the discussion. So are they Irish? No, they're from Wales.
Wales.
So they're British. They're from Wales.
Yeah, that's right. And that's where most of my Did you guys know that Wales doesn't have its own flag? I just found that out.
I didn't know.
I found that out yesterday. Wales doesn't have its own flag. I was like, okay, interesting.
Well, there you go.
So
another salted peanut from Pastor Ty.
I know.
People.
I'm cranking it down today.
Ty, you are cranking out the salted peanuts.
So Angelina, she sent us a note.
She's a regular listener.
What's the production room?
Angelina. Thank you, Angelina.
Thank you. So the production room is actually it's where we have all the controls for the radio station. The room that we're in would be more like the podcasting room. So this is where we can put up to 6 people. Right now it's just Dave and I and Gary. Because we're running a little short today. Obviously,
as big as I've gotten, I count for 2 people. So there's 3 of us on the. So this is like the studio.
Yeah.
Right.
And where Gary sits is the production room.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's Angelina's asking about that. Lots of knobs, dials, levers, monitors.
Yeah. So Angelina's blind.
The big red button to make sure that we're, they turn us off and it's like,
she's visually impaired.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. So if you think about it, there's a giant double-paned window between the 2 rooms. And Gary's room is a little bit smaller, but it's basically the same space, and it's just a way to make things work.
Yeah.
So it works really, really well. We're really blessed.
I love it.
And there are because of the double paned windows, the glass. Pardon me. Sometimes Gary has to do work or take phone calls and that kind of while we're producing the show. So he can actually turn his stuff down and continue to work while we're recording. So that's what a production room does.
Yeah, and that allows him to do some other things in the meantime. Also, we had Jerry from Pocatello. Hey, Jerry.
God bless you, Jerry.
Said,
Thanks,
hey,
man.
A pothole is like a sin in life. Okay, so this is interesting, right?
We're back to the potholes.
Yeah, we're back to the potholes. Sin affects the people in our lives where they almost have to navigate around us. Well, that's interesting. It's like I'm a pothole in other people's lives. Like may that never be said. Like people are avoiding me,
right?
Because if they hit me, they get hurt, right? But God allows sin to be seen to call us to repentance. That's an interesting way to look at that, right? Hey, we got to fix the pothole.
Yeah.
Right? I appreciate that, right? So in other words, you're dealing with somebody, I don't know, say I've never used the idea of a pothole, but to say to somebody else, hey, brother, you okay?
Exactly.
You seem to be struggling. You seem to be, you're getting snippy in meetings. How you doing? You doing okay? You loving people? You being loved? Do you know you're loved? You're okay?
Yeah.
Right? Because I think sometimes we forget that, right? And so, yes.
Yeah, so Jerry shared some of his life experiences as well, but I love at the end where he says, God is slowly repairing me. I love that. Tell the pastors thanks for talking about potholes.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, and right
Thanks, Jerry.
Right now we don't have a big pothole problem because everything's frozen solid around here. But in the spring, man, that water just starts tearing up. It's amazing what water does. Just a little bit of water can just wreck a road.
Yeah.
And so, however, unless they're Roman roads, then apparently they gonna last a while.
I'm telling you, man.
Yeah. Did you guys know that Roman roads were the first roads that had drainage, a drainage bell on them?
Oh man, Ty, you're all over it today.
Yeah. So, well, because Dave mentioned the thing about Roman roads the other day, right?
Who are you?
So,
and what have you done with Ty?
Well, I just spent 2 days reading, so I literally I spent 12 hours a day for the last couple of days just reading. But Dave, you'd mentioned the thing about Roman roads, and I was thinking, okay, wait a minute. Why is it we build roads, they don't last? Why do the Roman roads build, and why did they last? And you have some Roman roads that were not probably as well put together just because of where they were, but Roman roads had a curve on it. They had a drainage curve on them.
Right.
And they would actually cut away, and I thought this was interesting. It was the Romans that first started cutting away the brush and the trees that were next to the road to keep thieves and robbers away, so they could be seen.
Right.
So the whole going through Sherwood Forest kind of a thing, it's where Robin Hood's all there. They wouldn't have that. They would actually widen the space, and there was a place for the water to go, because if the water didn't go somewhere as you're running over it, the water's going to erode the road. So I was like, okay.
That's
and
awesome.
they set up foundations. They set up, basically, they would put pea gravel, and they gravel. I mean, they built the road like a road.
Yeah,
We still use the same principles today. I found that fascinating. So
the Romans also were famous for salting the road first, right?
Yes.
So if it was a lengthy road, very often they would salt it, and Jesus actually uses that as sort of the backdrop for a part of his teaching, right? In the Sermon on the Mount, and he says, that we're the salt of the earth. But if the salt has lost its saltiness, what's it good for? And by the way, the way salt loses its saltiness is through contamination, right? And so, where do they get their salt over there? From the Salt Sea or the Dead Sea, and they would bring up large amounts of salt from the Salt Sea, and then that would be used to salt the road. And so Jesus says it's no longer good for anything but to be cast under the foot of men, meaning the roads, the paths. And so, the Romans would salt the path or the road, and then they would lay stone over it. And so it's a method we kind of follow today, where we kill whatever is on that area where we're laying down a road. You kill it first, and then they lay down the cheesecloth and all that kind of stuff. But
well, it's an interesting thing. I didn't know they used cheesecloth for roads.
Whatever this is, what's that black tarp, whatever it is.
Oh,
that they put
yeah.
out there.
It's just like, it's
like you use in your garden to keep the weeds from growing.
Yeah, and the stuff they use for highways
But it's
is way thicker.
Way
Yeah,
thicker, of
but
course. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they lay that down and to keep anything from coming up.
Well, it's been interesting for us because they're building roads across the
Right
street
here.
from us.
Yeah.
So we're seeing like what used to be
We're
a
watching
field,
it, yeah.
like what used to be a field where there was no rocks or anything. They have to actually bring in rocks. They have to bring all
Yeah.
this fill dirt because
Right.
you're going to put weight on that road and that road's going to sink. But,
Exactly.
But it's interesting to see all the, they really think about, hey, where's the water going to go? Well, Romans, I mean, back in the day, they were thinking about that too. Where's the water going to go when we do this?
I remember as a kid, my dad teaching me if you're moving stuff in a truck, he would say you always put the weight in the back of your truck to the left side so that you're on the curve of the road or the rise of the road. And I remember as a kid learning that from my dad, that even our roads have that little bit of a curve. And so he would say, put your stuff to the left side of the bed so that when you're driving, you're not
getting pulled.
You don't list to the right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, that's back in the day when, there was no power steering.
Right.
Right, you were holding the car in place.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I kind of miss that a little bit. I miss that feeling of the road.
So
but,
you build your triceps.
Well, that's absolutely 100%. Hey, listen, we're out of
not.
we're out of time for
Look
today.
at that.
Yeah, we're out of time for
Wow.
today. Hey, we appreciate you sending in your comments, your questions. Pastors
Send
Live
more.
at the Rev.fm. Pastors Live at the Rev.fm, and we will talk to you tomorrow.
You've reached the end of another episode of Pastors Live, a Rev FM production podcast. Thank you for listening. Submit your questions and comments by email to pastorslive@therev.fm. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review from your favorite podcast listening platform. Subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, or Amazon so you don't miss the next episode drop.